Are we all a go? I think we're all a go. Here we are, people. Welcome to the second installment of, I am going to call it the podcast, On a Level. Today we're going to be talking about Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, recapping that whole UFC 229 event. Also talking about some of the other fights on that card as well. I'm actually going to timestamp things in the description of this one. In the first podcast when we did it, we was only talking about my project, the Second Testimonial, whereas this one we're going to kind of mix up the topics. I don't know how long I'm going to talk about Khabib versus Conor. I don't know. So we'll see. It might just be a UFC recap podcast, but we might end up talking about other things if needed. And it's not going to be the same as last time. Obviously, this visual is going to be different. We're also going to be playing a game of maybe 2 or 3 games of FIFA whilst we do this as well. Just so there's something for you guys to watch in the background. Some people are asking for a face cam. I don't want to do a face cam personally. I want to be able to really think about what I'm saying and, you know, not have to worry about looking at the camera and being conscious of that and whatnot. I know it's not a huge difference, but for me, it's just, yeah, I just feel more comfortable just being able to worry about audio rather than visual as well. So that's what I'm hoping, fingers crossed, FIFA doesn't get too distracting for me. And hopefully I'm able to collect my thoughts and continue speaking. Because again, this one is by myself. I know I said last time that there'll be different people, but I've got something planned for the next one. The third one is where we're going to have other people, I promise. So this one is going to be by myself as well. But I promise the next one will be with other people. So yeah, without further ado, let's switch screens here. So there's going to be music in the back playing real soft, I hope. I don't actually know how loud it is. It's playing in my headphones, but how it plays in my headphones and how it plays for you guys is going to be different. But yeah, UFC 229. Wow. First off, in terms of entertainment, what an event. Like, the event was absolutely insane to the membrane. Like, it was, it's everything you could ask for, really. In terms of, let's go through the undercard fights just real quickly. I want to talk about the Derek Lewis and Volkan Ozdemir fight. Was it Ozdemir? Was it? It weren't Oz. You're gonna get me looking up this shit. Look. I know it was Derek Lewis. It was Volkan. Alexander Volkov. That's who it was. Sorry, not Ozdemir. My apologies. My apologies. Bad, Charlie. See? Going into a podcast unprepared. Look how great I am. So, yeah. That was a crazy fight. Volkov just dominated round 1 and 2. Derek Lewis looking off the pace, really. Kind of just getting lit up the whole fight. And he had something go on early in the first round where he was like covering his orbital. It wasn't even his eye. I don't even think it was an eye poke. I think he literally just shattered the side of his skull. And it just fucked him up. And obviously Derek Lewis's previous fight before that was versus Francis Ngannou, which was hyped like crazy. I was even hyped for it, and then it turned out to be one of the most boring fights arguably ever in UFC history. Which was really disappointing. So I feel like Derek Lewis had something to prove here. He had to be pushing forward a little bit more. And every time he tried, Volkov was just lighting him up. And then late on in the third round, Derek Lewis just cracks him with one shot. And you're like, whoa, he can mount a comeback here in the last like 20 seconds. And then he hits him with this overhand right. This just devastating four-hammer type shit and just blast the mouthpiece out of him. And that was absolutely crazy to watch. So if you watch my live stream, you would have seen my reaction to that. I thought that was absolutely insane. You had Dominic Reyes versus Ovince St. Preux. I had St. Preux winning that fight, but Reyes actually really impressed me. Like, really impressed me. And even knocked out St. Preux literally on the buzzer of, like, the 5th round, 5 minutes into the 5th round, or 4:59. Which was crazy as well. He basically won by knockout. But it goes down as a majority decision. No, not majority decision. Sorry, unanimous decision. So that was an interesting fight to watch. Arguably fight of the night for me was Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis. I was about to call him Sergio Pettis. That was his brother who was on the card. Who actually, I think he lost. Yeah, he lost. What a fight! I think if that went at least 4 rounds. Wait, was it a 3-round fight or was it a 5-round fight? I don't know. But let's say even that went a full 3 rounds. That's arguably as good, if not better, than the Rory McDonald, Robbie Lawler fight, which is, again, arguably one of the greatest fights in UFC history. And it was kind of that vibe as well. It was just back and forth, creative striking. Ferguson coming back from knee surgery. He tore his ACL. He tore the ligament off the bone, which... apparently, it takes 9 months just to get a full recovery in, let alone build it back up to the strength you need and then prepare for a fight to go into training. So that was the absolutely insane thing about that. It was absolutely crazy. And, you know, Ferguson did look good. He got kicked early on in the leg and he kind of looked... it looked like it hurt. It did look like it hurt. But he kind of bounced back from there and it was just such a good back and forth fight. Ferguson obviously getting the better of the striking in there. But yeah, what a fight that was. That was insane. And then it had to be stopped in the second round, at the end of the second round, between the second and third, because I was about to say Ferguson, because Pettis broke his hand. Obviously, I don't know if that was from punching Ferguson or I don't know what it was down to, and I don't know how bad it was, but his trainer pulled him out and said, I don't want you to continue. And I can understand that. I don't think trainers do that enough. I think a lot of trainers tell them to just get out there and get on with it, and that could be really dangerous. That could be really dangerous for fighters. I don't think trainers save their fighters enough from their own good. Obviously, Pettis was probably feeling good enough to continue, but even then, you could get the vibe that there was something about him that weren't right. Obviously, he had the Poirier fight where people said that he just gave up and he pretended to tap from a broken rib or something like that. But even at the end of that round, Ferguson turned around and he just says he's done. And then after his trainer goes over, then he does pull him from it. So Ferguson might have had a different feel. Maybe the hand was an excuse for pulling out. I don't know. I don't take Pettis as a quitter, really. I do like Anthony Pettis. Very famous for his off-the-cage head kick. I think that was before the UFC. I think that was back in another organization. But yeah, shout out to Anthony Pettis, man. Love him. And you know what? I think it would be a great fight. Anthony Pettis versus Conor McGregor. I'm not saying it would be the most competitive. I reckon Conor would storm him. But in terms of just watching, just for it being entertaining, that would probably be quite an entertaining fight if they can make that later on in Conor's career, if Pettis is still fighting at that point as well. I think that could be interesting. But now, the one that you really are waiting for, let's be real. Khabib versus Conor. Now, where do we start with this one, really? I mean, you had all of the build-up. And Conor said that he didn't want to do a lot of press. He didn't want to do... well, he didn't want to do any at all. Wow, what a goal. He said that he didn't want to do any at all. Like, none. But he had to come to an agreement with the UFC. And he said, all right, I'll do this. I'll do these 2 press conferences. I'll do 1 or 2 interviews. And then I'm done. That's it. Leave me to prepare. And understandably so, because I think in terms of stylistically, this is the heaviest specialist that he's had to face. Within Khabib being such a high-level grappler and wrestler, and just the way he's able to control people on the ground and in a clinch even. So when they did have the conferences, it was big. It was big. There was a lot of, I wouldn't say pressure, but a lot of hype around it, you know. Whenever you get into a press conference or an interview or anything media-wise with Conor McGregor, you know you're getting absolute gold footage. And Conor come across as very wild, very uncalculated, which is unlike Conor. Conor's known for being very cool-headed, very composed, and picking and choosing when he wants to engage. And that translates into how he fights as well. So to see him in the press conference so wild and riled up, it did seem out of character. Personally, I think that he was doing it on purpose to make Khabib think that he was going to just run in and spark him, try and spark him straight away, almost like a Jose Aldo. And so I feel like it was a bit of a front, and I feel like with the first press conference, I feel like it didn't really get to Khabib. It did a little bit, but nothing too crazy. Then it comes to the second press conference, and when Conor didn't show up on time, I think that alone got to Khabib. Because let's be real, Conor does a lot of things and gets away with it compared to other fighters. Conor can jump into the ring of an organization and, you know, get into only minor trouble, whereas other people jump into a ring and, you know, they get banned from the sport. So you can see where little things like that are very different, and Conor does get away with a lot. You've got to also remember, Conor's brought the sport to where it is at the moment, or helped it massively get to the sport to where it is at the moment. So you've also got to remember that side of things. Oh, that was trash. So, I feel like that riled up Khabib. Going into the fight, in the walkouts, Khabib looked very nervous. He looked very focused, very serious. And that does fall into Khabib's style. You know, it fits into his personality of very serious, very respectful, tries to be a professional to the best of his ability, and so the walkouts were interesting. Oh wow, go on, head it in. Oh, off the post. So getting into the actual fight now, I feel like Conor defended the takedowns and controlled Khabib quite well to start off with, like better than I thought he would. Way better than I thought he would. He was controlling his head. He was controlling that right hand of his relatively well when Khabib got him down in the end. And I feel like Conor was just trying to save energy. I feel like in the first 2, maybe even 3 rounds, if he was taken down, just save your energy. I think the problem that a lot of fighters make is that when they go to fight Khabib, they scramble to get up onto their feet straight away. But when Khabib's fresh as well, he's able to keep him down. I feel like Conor was trying to save energy, so if he did get into trouble into the 4th and 5th round, he would have the energy to still scramble. It's not a hidden issue with Conor's cardio, especially during the Floyd Mayweather fight. That's when you've seen it really imposed on him. His cardio just let him down massively. So I feel like that's something he worked on a big time in terms of his camp. Round 2 was very much the same. Khabib took him down, and you knew Conor was down. But, you know, typically people were stylistically saying either Conor's going to spark him in the first or Khabib's going to maul him for 5. When Khabib started standing up with Conor, I went, Khabib, that's a bad idea. I'm thinking in my head, Khabib, that's a bad idea. Next thing you know, boom! Starches him with this overhand right. Now, it's a wild overhand right. Let me make this clear. Looking back at it, there was zero technique to what he did. It was bad. Like, head down, no guard, zero. Like, there was so many things wrong with that punch, and I think that's why it caught Conor off guard. That's the first time I've seen Conor really starch. Like, I've seen him against Nate Diaz, like, hurt, maybe even wobbled, but as in, like, knocked off of his feet starch. I have not seen Conor do that. That was insane. So I feel like that alone just give Khabib the bragging rights of, I can beat you on the ground and I'm beating you up on your feet, motherfucker, because you haven't knocked me down yet. I only feel like once in the fight did Khabib get rocked, really. Like, similar to the Michael Johnson fight. He rocked him, but he didn't really rock him. It weren't like a Barboza when he head kicked Kevin Lee. It's not like a Ronda Rousey versus Amanda Nunes kind of stunning. Like, no, it's not like that. But he wobbled him a bit. And then the 3rd round, yeah, I feel like Conor brought it back a little bit. I feel like Conor won that round just about. It was fairly close, but I'd say Conor won that round. And you were starting to think, well, is Conor going to bring it back 3, 4, and 5 now? And yeah, then Khabib took him down in the 4th. Conor just, I think he just lapsed concentration or just made a mistake. Khabib managed to take his back, and it went down as a rear naked choke, but I'd say it's more of a neck crank more than anything. I think Joe Rogan said that, and I agree with it. It was more of a crank onto the neck. He didn't really have his arm on the neck. He had it more around his jaw. And Conor tapped. So Conor taking his 4th loss of his UFC career by submission. So Khabib then didn't really got off Conor reluctantly. Obviously, when Conor taps you, when any fighter taps you, get off of them, fight's done, you normally shake hands, done. They weren't going to shake hands, you knew that, but, life goes on. And then I think Dylan Dennis apparently was beckoning Khabib or something like that, talking his shit after a fight, you know, as people do. And Khabib didn't like it. Khabib decided to hop the cage. And, yeah. Shit happened, didn't it? Khabib jumped over the cage and did this flying eagle attack to Dylan Dennis. And that is when it kicked off. Next thing you know, massive scrum between people. Conor's in the cage. And let me make one thing clear. I did see this on Twitter. It's a tweet that's circulating right now. People are saying Conor didn't do anything wrong and poor Conor. And I'm going to get onto that in just a moment. I will get onto that in a moment. Conor isn't as innocent as you think. So, one of Khabib's guys hopped into the cage or something like that to check on Khabib or one of Khabib's other guys. What actually happened is as he's sitting on top of the cage, Conor actually hits him. Conor actually hits him with a right or a left hand. He punches him either way. And at that point, the guy on the cage starts to swing back, but, you know, not really hitting Conor. Then the guy in the red t-shirt, he sees what's going on. He hops in the cage and starts attacking Conor. And that's where people are like, that's where it's bad. He shouldn't have done. What Khabib done is one thing, but that Khabib's guy shouldn't have done that. Who's actually another UFC fighter. He's a trained martial artist. He had no gloves on. And he, you know, took an illegal shot, which is a punch to the back of the head. There's a reason it's not a legal punch in the sport. Because, you know, it can do serious damage to the brain. He attacks Conor. And then your other man who Conor attacked in the first place, who had their little engagement, he ends up coming back and attacking Conor as well. So it's like two guys on one. So Conor isn't as innocent as you think in all of that. So I don't think anyone can say poor Conor. On top of that, Conor jumps into the cage in the Bellator event when his boy from Ireland was fighting. I think the referee didn't stop it or something like that. He was angry with the ref. He actually hopped into the ring and started arguing and pushing officials, which you just don't do. First off, I'm not condoning that whatsoever. And obviously there's the bus incident where Khabib and many other UFC fighters were on the bus leaving a media event, I believe it was. And Conor obviously brings all of his guys in and smashes it up and calls for Khabib. Rare. Conor's been no stranger to things like this. Conor doing things that only Conor can get away with. The water bottle thing at the Nate Diaz conference. Just shit like that. And yeah, from an entertainment value for selling pay-per-views, it does a fantastic job of that. In terms of as a professional, in terms of someone who people look up to within Conor McGregor, I think it's trash. But, you know, some people love it. And Conor is one of them characters. He is a bit of Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. I think people need to come to terms with that. We are running through Monaco. What is this? So, Conor shouldn't be excused. What Khabib did, I don't think is even that deep. I don't think the attack on Dylan Dennis was even that bad. It was just more pushing and shoving more than anything. I think the people who are really affected here are the fans that were in the arena at the time. There was a lot of Irish there and a lot of Russians there. Now, this fight was bigger than just Conor and Khabib. It was bigger than more than the lightweight title. It was almost like two cultures, you know. What you get with like American UFC fighters is you don't really get the whole of America behind them. I don't see the whole of America behind Tyron Woodley. I don't see the whole of America behind Demetrius Johnson even, or Cormier, or these fighters. They have fans, of course they do, but they don't have the whole nation behind them the way someone like Conor has Ireland behind him, or the way Khabib has Russia and especially Dagestan behind him. So you have these two sets of fans that are die-fors. They will die for the fighters they are supporting. And yeah, when that kicks off, obviously the first thing that comes to Dana's mind, security's mind, just anyone really, is how are these fans going to get out of here without fighting each other? How are they going to get out of here safely? Some people saying the security wasn't good enough. I don't think any security predicted Khabib jumping out of the cage and doing a flying double kick to Dylan Dennis. I just don't think that. I don't think they were prepared for that. So, I think security did a good job of trying to separate that as quickly as possible. I can understand Dana White's reasoning behind not giving Khabib his title. So Conor and Khabib are in the ring with a lot of security in between them, and Khabib's going mad because he wants his belt, and understandably so. Don't get me wrong, very understandably. But I can understand why Dana wouldn't give it to him. You know, he has set the whole place. Sent the whole place into just turmoil. You know, it was a shit show. Let's be real. It just was a shit show. And so Dana was trying to think about getting Khabib out of there without getting killed. I think if Khabib got that belt on, there would be shit thrown. It wouldn't surprise me if fans started jumping the barriers at that point. Like, it just wouldn't surprise me. And then you got to think about the aftermath of it all. The more riled up you get these fans, when they leave this arena, they've got to use the same public transport. They've got to be using the same exits, the same roads to get back to their hotels, where they're staying, where they live. That's not something that just stays in the arena. Given as well, this is the main event. By now, people have consumed a lot of alcohol. Russians are known for having a good drink, and the Irish are known for having a good drink. So you add all of that to consider. So I wouldn't say this is bad so much for Conor McGregor. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, poor Conor McGregor. No. If anything, Conor deserves it. Realistically, let's be honest, Conor deserves it. Conor, you know, disrespected Khabib. He disrespected his father, his culture, his religion, what he stands for, teammates, family, friends. You know, I can understand how that gets under Khabib's skin. But I think Khabib fucked it up for himself more than anything. I feel like Khabib could have beaten Conor McGregor, not have shook his hand, could have smiled in Conor's face, and he would have got a bigger W. He would have then had most of the MMA community going, wow, stand up Khabib, undefeated title that beat the one and only Conor McGregor. But instead, he's now he's stained with this. Khabib can defend that title 10 times more and be 37-0. But he'll be stained with that. Same way Conor McGregor will be stained for his antics outside of his fighting. Conor, as a fighter, is my favorite fighter to watch because he's so clean in how he fights. However, as a person, in terms of press conferences, love him. Outside of that, his other antics, I don't appreciate. And now I like Conor because I'm Irish. You know, he's Ireland's national treasure. There's no way you can't like him in that way. But at the same time, you know, I love him. And there's part of me that just really doesn't like to say that publicly, because a lot of people, you know, will say, oh, he's a bad influence, etc., etc. He's a bad role model. The things that he does, you know, is negative for the sport. Some people say negative attention or bad press is any attention is good attention, or whatever the saying is. You know, I'm trying to get at there. I don't think so. I honestly don't. I mean, it has done good for the UFC in terms of promoting it. People who don't follow UFC or MMA in general still know who Conor McGregor is, or at least heard of Conor McGregor, especially after the Floyd Mayweather fight and how mainstream that was. Oh shit, that was a bad place to lose the ball. Get it out! Good. So Conor has done monumental things for the sport. There's no denying that. But what he's done for himself, I feel like he has stained his own legacy in certain ways. But it also adds to it in terms of he is who he is. You know, Mike Tyson's still talked about as one of the greatest of all-time boxers, or just up there in that discussion. And, you know, he had his fair share of bad media days and fights and things like that. So it does add to the story of a character. But if you want to be known as the greatest of all time for being a professional, definitely these two are not going to be in that discussion anymore. One thing you can say about Conor McGregor, though, is he's never missed weight. He always turns up to a fight, and he always puts on a show. You can't doubt that side of his professionalism. It's more so how he handles himself as a role model, especially for the younger people watching. I mean, if he could just keep that about his fighting, what a guy who works hard, always makes weight, and fights clean. Wow, you know what I mean? You've got gold dust there. But you know, Conor hasn't shown that outside of the cage. Almost the same as a footballer. Off the pitch, what are they like? Some people are absolutely great on the pitch, but off the pitch, that's where they stain themselves. So I feel like Khabib just ruined it for himself more than anything else. Not really for anyone else. It isn't great for the UFC. You know, I had people who didn't watch the UFC ask, oh, you watched the Conor fight, right? What was the whole deal with the fight afterwards? That doesn't sound safe. This is barbaric. MMA is just full of people who are meatheads and don't think. And I disagree massively. I think Joe Rogan puts this in a great way. MMA is like it's like a game of chess. It's high-level thinking, high-level problem-solving with physical dire consequences. And it's true. It's high-level thinking, but your body and your well-being is on the line with that. And I would agree with that statement. I think that's what the beautiful thing is about MMA. But obviously, to people who don't watch MMA and don't understand it, they're going to look at events like this and be like, well, security should have done this, and he shouldn't do that, and why should he be fighting? Why does he earn so much money just to do all of this? And you know, from an ignorant standpoint, from someone who hasn't followed MMA, you know, their whole life or even for a decent amount of time, you can understand where they're coming from. So yeah, but Conor's called for a rematch. I don't think I want to see a rematch. I think Khabib will just win again. I would rather see Conor McGregor versus... Oh, what a goal that would have been. I would rather see Conor McGregor versus Tony Ferguson. I would rather see... Who did I call on before? I think it was Tony Ferguson versus Nate Diaz. That could just be such a cool fight. I would like to see Anthony Pettis versus Poirier. No, we've seen that already. Sorry. My bad. Anthony Pettis versus Barboza. There we go. That's who I was thinking of. There's a few fights that could look good. In terms of Conor, I'd say next he most likely will have the Khabib rematch. I would rather see him fight Ferguson for the #1 contender spot again. But again, Ferguson winning his fight, he's now #1 contender, I believe. Yeah, I mean, if they keep Conor #1 contender and they keep Ferguson where he is, even though Conor lost and Ferguson won, I think will be disgraceful. But it wouldn't surprise me because Conor's the UFC's, you know, star child project. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes forward from there. Some people are talking about Conor fighting GSP, or even himself talking about Anderson Silva. I'm not that interested by a GSP fight. I would be with Anderson Silva just because I feel like Conor would absolutely batter Anderson Silva. In his prime, no way. Just because, you know, of how good Anderson Silva was, and just being a heavier guy as well also adds to it. But now that you have an Anderson Silva that's not withering away, I feel like that's a bad term to use, but post-USADA, Anderson Silva hasn't looked too good, I'm just saying. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes from there. But yeah, that's my UFC 229 recap, really. It was probably a bit all over the place. Listening back to this, I'll probably realize that I was chatting shit the whole time, but you know, like life goes on. In the words of Specs Gonzalez, there are no rules. Now, there was something else I wanted to talk about, and it was talking about this AWST mixtape project. I don't think I'm going to be doing a project, or if I do, it will be a collation of songs that are going to be already released, plus a few that you haven't heard. The reason I say this, there's a lot of people talk the talk saying, yeah, let's collab, bro, let's do this, let's do that, let's make history, and then it comes down to the nitty gritty, and they either don't answer, or they take very long. So I understand things don't happen straight away. Maybe I just work faster and more efficiently than others. Maybe that's just all it is. I'm not the biggest fish to fry in the pond. I understand that. So from certain artists' standpoint, I can understand. You know, maybe they don't want to work with me. Maybe they don't think I'm good enough. Maybe I'm not a big enough number for them. That's fine. Just say so. Don't do the whole, yeah, we will, and then don't. Because that just frustrates me more. I'm putting a certain instrumental that I wanted to use on hold. I'm putting a certain hook that I created on hold, when someone else could easily have that. So, although I'm very much for collabing with bigger Australian artists, I kind of want to just collab with the ones who just are going to get it done, really, and just get that out as soon as. Maybe almost prove it to people. Right now, I only have one, I repeat, one artist / MC that is actually on it at the moment. That is actually writing. We've discussed our ideas, we're planning it heavily, and we're going from there. There is, I'd say, 2 or 3 that I'm just waiting on. They've said they're going to do it. I don't know if they are. I'm just waiting. There's been 1 or 2 that have said, oh, yeah, I'm busy at the moment, but maybe in the future, which is fine. I can understand that. Maybe that's their polite way of saying no, but they might be genuine. I'm just going to assume they're being genuine. That's fine. I don't mind that. But at least I know, all right, let me not, you know, stress and waste time worrying about doing something for them right now. I mean, in terms of me, I've made it very vocal who I would like to collab with. Some of them I haven't hit up. Some of them I haven't hit up yet. Some people I hit up with nothing to bring to the table. Literally just saying, like, look, do you want to collab? That's literally the words that I've used. And then there's other people where I want to wait until I've created something, and I'm literally going to throw it down in front of them and go, you need to fill this 8 bar. You need to fill this 16 bar. You need to fill this 24 or 32 or whatever it's going to be. There are other artists like that. And in that case, that's fine. If they say no, because then I'll try and get someone else with a similar style in mind. There's, I'd say there's only one person I've written very specifically for. So if they say no, well, that's just scrapped or just put on hold until a later date kind of thing. In the meantime, yeah, I guess it is different, you know, collaborating on a song when you're not at the same studio, you're not writing together, you're writing separately, recorded separately, it will get mixed by the same person over said internet, and yeah, that's that. So it's a weird way of collabing. You got to keep in mind as well, the only people I've collabed with is Spyro, who lives 2 minutes away from me, so you know, we've done everything in the same studio. We write separately, bring our ideas to the studio, and do the rest there. Oh fuck, that's a goal. And then you get then I've collabed with a guy called Misfit, which was a similar thing. I just sent my verse to him, he mixed it, he put it all together, and it was, you know, happy days from there. So yeah, this whole collaborating thing is a little bit new to me. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not going to pretend like I know it all. I'm not going to do any of that, you know. I'll be very transparent in how I feel and what's going on. So yeah, just admittedly, people, I want to be making collabs with certain artists, but they're just taking a very, very long time. And there's nothing I can do until well, they, you know, get back on it, get their ideas put together, and we get moving forward from there. Obviously, if I come over to Australia, I'm sure they'll be down for it more so then. You can do the video out there and etc, etc. But right now, funds are looking a little bit tight. I mean, my girl, my girlfriend is from New Zealand. Well, she's English, but she moved to New Zealand when she was 11, and then has moved back here past couple years. And she wants to go back home for Christmas. And I've said that I'm gonna go, and I'm struggling to get the money for that, but I reckon I'll just about get it there in time. Now, my thoughts instantly are, well, if I'm coming all the way out to New Zealand and I'm that close to Australia, I can't not go Australia now. So I at least wanted to come to at least one city, probably Melbourne or Sydney. But I need money to do that. So I might do a little fundraising event and see if people want it that bad. Fuck, man! Ah! Okay, this is really frustrating. Yeah, and you know, I don't know if I'd be able to do a show or if I'd be able to do a meet and I'd sure do a meet and greet, whether it was an unofficial thing or not. But yeah, I might do a fundraising event. So the 10-hour stream that I was going to do at 10 Patreons, I might just plan it. And come on, I just want to go, please. Please, see, maybe it is a bad idea to play FIFA whilst doing a podcast, because then otherwise you get like distractions like this. Where was I? See, this is a bad idea. You know what I'm gonna do next time? I'm gonna play FIFA beforehand, and then that I could just put it on the screen, and then I don't have to play it live. Maybe that's a good idea. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. So yeah, I want to come out to Oz, but it's a money thing. So when I do this 10-hour stream, maybe we could do like a fundraising thing there, even if people donated $5 each, or $1, or just just anything to contribute, really. Just so I can get the tickets. Really, wow, that was trash. Just so I can get the tickets, really. No other reason other than that. Just to be able to come over, but we'll see. We'll see if that's gonna be possible or not. I mean, I'd love to, just to be able to just meet, you know, as many of you guys as I possibly could, collaborate with artists if possible, you know, even if it was just one track with an artist and a video was made, man, it would just be so sick. It would just be such a sick experience, and especially if I could come to a show, not even performing. I mean, if you want me to perform, I can, but in terms of just being able to be at an event live and taking that energy, I think it'd just be so sick. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it when it does happen, and regardless, it's going to happen in 2019. But you know, me having this opportunity to be coming so close this winter, you know, or for you guys summer, this December over New Year's time, it'll be January, it'll be late December going into mid-January. So at some point in there, I'd leave my girl in New Zealand for a week and I'd come to Australia, you know, that's just what I want to do. But we'll see if that happens or not. We will see if that happens or not. And like I said, if you're interested in me doing it as like a fundraiser event in our 10-hour stream, I will do so. But maybe people are like, no, don't make it all about money, you little bitch. Maybe that's what some people are gonna say, and if so, fair enough. I won't do it then, and it just means that you just have to wait until, you know, mid-2019 until I come. But regardless, we'll see what happens. So yeah, I think we're gonna call the podcast to an end now. I think we got everything off our chest, talking about the UFC, the main event cards, and especially the Conor Khabib situation, and just briefly addressing the whole collaboration and coming over to Australia thing, you know. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, please let me know down in the comment section below. Did you enjoy being able to watch something? Do you feel like it distracted me too much from what I was talking about? Do you like the whole natural feel to it, almost like a live stream, just I don't have chat to be saying react to this, react to that? Let me know what you think. The next podcast will be slightly different because I will have multiple people on it, and we'll be talking about a few things there. It'll be some of you guys. So if you want to be, well, and with a chance to be on the podcast or just being able to chat to me in general, just feel free to join the Discord down in the description below. There is a link. It will take you right to my server. Sign up, join, and just be able to just chat with everyone. Nearly every day I pop into the voice chat for a little bit and chat with different people, and, you know, just interact and just get to know you guys. You know, that's really important to me, and I want to keep that up going forward. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate everything that's going on. Thank you as well. I didn't really talk about it, but thank you on the song that I released, Cracks We Have remix. Shout out to Misfit. And yeah, thank you for all the support on that as well. Really appreciate that. But more singles going to be coming over the next couple of weeks. And yeah, people, appreciate you watching. And I'll yeah, catch you soon. Take care.